It was supposed to be just another fun sleepover, movies, snacks, and laughter. But that night, when a stranger's voice called Jenna's name through the door, everything changed. What happened next still haunts us to this day. The night everything changed started like any other sleepover at Jenna's place. I was 16 then, still more child than adult, caught in that fragile in-between where you think you're untouchable because the world hasn't yet shown you its sharp edges. Jenna lived only a few streets over, but her house always felt like a second home to me. It was the kind of neighborhood people bragged about living in. Safe, quiet, rows of oak trees lining sidewalks, mailboxes leaning from years of use, porch lights glowing warm against neatly trimmed hedges. The sort of place where safety was so deeply assumed it became invisible, like air. No one bothered locking doors until bedtime. Kids walked home from school in the fading light without parents worrying. Everyone knew each other's business, and most folks still waved when they passed on the street. That night, Jenna's parents were headed out for their anniversary dinner. Before they left, her mom set down a tray of warm chocolate chip cookies, her famous recipe, though the fame was really just in our small circle of friends. Her dad, like always, paused at the door for his little speech. No answering for strangers. Don't open the door if you don't recognize the person. And don't stay up all night scaring yourselves with movies. We rolled our eyes in sync, the way only best friends can. We'd heard it all before. Of course, we already had our plans mapped out. A horror movie marathon, a bottomless pit of snacks, staying awake until the first crack of sunlight hit the blinds. Teenagers thrive on that kind of chaos, when responsibility still feels like it lives a million miles away. The house itself seemed bigger once the adults left, a strange thing I noticed every time. Silence had a way of stretching through it, filling in the spaces where voices and footsteps usually lived. Shadows seemed to stretch further too, like they were testing their reach now that no one was there to keep them in check. We claimed the living room for the night. The TV was ready. The blankets and pillows sprawled across the hardwood like a makeshift nest, snacks piled high within arm's reach. The giddiness of freedom buzzed in the air, and in that moment, the world still felt safe. If I had known someone else was watching us, waiting for that exact night, I would have begged Jenna to lock the doors, close the blinds, and shut down the Wi-Fi. But when you're 16, you don't think like that. That's the mistake predators count on. Around midnight, after 2 movies had already melted into our brains and half the candy had disappeared, Jenna grabbed her phone. She grinned that reckless grin she always wore when mischief was brewing. "Let's tell everyone how bored we are," she said, already snapping a photo of the chaos. Empty chip bags, soda cans, cookie crumbs. I laughed, though unease tugged at me, broadcasting to the entire internet that we were 2 teenage girls home alone past midnight didn't exactly feel smart. But Jenna was fearless, or maybe just careless in the way only teenagers can be. She tapped the caption out with a flourish. "Bored and alone, LOL." I remember the exact feeling that passed through me when she hit post. Something tiny and cold in my chest. I ignored it. Likes rolled in within seconds. Teasing comments. Friends pretending to be jealous. Someone joked, "Invite me over. I'll save you from your boredom." Jenna read each one aloud, doing silly voices until we both collapsed into giggles. We were so absorbed we didn't notice the first time the car passed by. The street outside was usually dead silent after 10. Maybe a stray cat, maybe the hum of a far-off engine, but nothing unusual. So when headlights cut across the curtains once, then again a few minutes later, I thought nothing of it. But the third time, slower, lingering, I noticed. "Somebody's driving around," I said, trying to sound casual. Jenna shrugged. "Probably someone lost. Who cares?" We went back to the movie. Then, 20 minutes later, gravel crunched in the driveway. I froze. A dark sedan had pulled in. Jenna slid to the window, tugging the curtain just enough to peek out. "Not Dad's car," she whispered. The engine idled. Inside, the faint shape of a man, sat still, watching. Finally, the door opened. A figure stepped out. Slow footsteps on the walkway. Then, ding-dong, ding-dong, ding-dong. The chime echoed sharp and insistent through the house. We both jumped. My pulse hammered so loud it felt like it filled my ears. "Are your parents home early?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Jenna shook her head violently. The man on the porch shifted, weight creaking against the boards. Then a voice, muffled through the door, almost cheerful. "I'm here to pick up Jenna for her ride." We went rigid. Neither of us had called for a ride. We hadn't told anyone to come. Jenna mouthed, "I didn't call anyone." The voice came again, a little louder. "Jenna, I know you're in there. Your ride is here." There was something wrong in his tone. Forced. Practiced. Like lines spoken too many times. The door rattled. "Hard." Jenna whispered, "What do we do?" I grabbed her arm. "We don't open it. We don't say anything." But she panicked. "Who sent you?" she shouted. A pause. Then the same line again. "Your friend. Said you needed a ride." "What friend?" she demanded. Silence. Then the rattle of the knob again, more violent this time. The man wasn't trying to convince us anymore. He was trying to get in. Finally, the pounding stopped. Silence pressed in. Then footsteps, moving away from a porch. We held our breath, straining to listen. Through the window, a silhouette slid past. He was circling. Top, top, top. He tested the windows, one by one. Living room, kitchen, dining room. Top, top, top. Deliberate, patient, like a predator searching for the weak spot in a cage. Jenna's hands shook so violently, she nearly dropped her phone. She dialed anyway, whispered into the receiver. "Someone's trying to break in. He says he's here to pick me up." The dispatcher's calm voice, "Stay hidden. Police are on the way." But the man outside wasn't giving up. He rattled the back door, pressed against the glass, circled back to the front. His voice sang out, wrong and sweet. "Jenna, I'm still here." I'll never forget the bile that rose in my throat at the sound of it. 10 minutes stretched into an eternity. Then, the sound of sirens. Red and blue light spilled across the curtains. The man's car roared to life. Tires screeched. He was gone before the cops reached the porch. They checked the house, took statements, tried to comfort us. But without a plate number, without a clear look at his face, there wasn't much they could do. "You did the right thing," one officer said, patting Jenna's shoulder. But that night, I didn't feel safe again. Not in her house, not in mine. And 2 nights later, the news confirmed what my gut had already screamed. A man was arrested only a few blocks away. He'd attempted to abduct another girl. Same words, same script, same eerie calm. He had been hunting social media posts, looking for teenagers broadcasting when they were home alone. That innocent Instagram post, it had been an invitation. For weeks after, Jenna couldn't sleep without her lights on. I started double-checking every lock in my house, then lying awake imagining hands rattling the windows. Her parents tried to downplay it. "He's behind bars now. It's over." But the truth? It never really ended. Because once someone has targeted you, once you've heard your own name whispered in the dark by a stranger trying to get in, safety stops being something you believe in. It becomes something you pretend to believe in, for everyone else's sake. But you never forget. Not really. If you're brave enough to keep watching, don't forget to hit like to support the channel. Subscribe for more terrifying true horror stories. And let me know in the comments. What would you have done if someone came to your door at midnight?